During lunch break, Lily approached him. "Would you tell the older students about your work? Many have never met someone from the tech industry. I doubt they'd understand complex algorithms and market disruption strategies," Ethan said. Lily tilted her head slightly. "Try them. Children understand more than we imagine." Reluctantly, Ethan agreed. To his surprise, the students asked thoughtful, challenging questions that forced him to explain concepts he'd taken for granted. When he described quantum computing in simple terms, a 10-year-old girl named May made a connection he hadn't considered before. "So it's like when we all think together on a problem, instead of just one person thinking?" May asked. "Because our brains can try lots of ideas at once?" Ethan blinked in surprise. "That's actually a perfect analogy." After school, Lily invited him to join her for a different activity. "Tuesdays and Thursdays I work with special needs children in the community center," she explained as they walked through the village. Locals nodded respectfully to Lily, regarding Ethan with curious but not unfriendly glances. The community center housed 6 children with various challenges: Down syndrome, autism, physical disabilities. Ethan hung back awkwardly, but Lily's natural grace put everyone at ease. She seemed to understand exactly what each child needed, adapting her approach intuitively. "How do you know what to do with each of them?" Ethan asked afterward as they walked back in the twilight. "I listen," Lily said, "not just with my ears." "That's a bit mystical for my taste," Ethan remarked. Lily laughed, a sound like wind chimes. "Not mystical. I observe their micro-expressions, breathing patterns, pupil dilation. The body communicates what words cannot." "Sounds like an algorithm," Ethan said, finding unexpected common ground. "Perhaps the most complex algorithm of all," she agreed. "Human connection." That night, Ethan noticed strange lights over the mountain behind the village. They pulsed with an eerie rhythm, unlike any aircraft he'd seen. When he mentioned it to George the next morning, the old man changed the subject abruptly. Over the following days, Ethan found himself increasingly drawn into village life. He helped repair the schoolhouse roof, learning from the local carpenter. He joined fishing expeditions with George and his friends, discovering the satisfaction of catching his own dinner. Most evenings ended on Lily's porch, sharing conversations that ranged from philosophy to quantum physics, her knowledge of the latter surprisingly extensive for a rural teacher. "How does someone like you end up in a place like this?" he asked her one evening, the stars impossibly bright overhead. Lily was quiet for a moment. "Sometimes we don't find our place. Sometimes our place finds us," she rose suddenly, pointing skyward. "Look!" A meteor streaked across the night, leaving a trail of blue-violet light. Unlike typical shooting stars, this one moved slowly, its trajectory irregular. It disappeared behind the mountain where Ethan had seen the strange lights. "Beautiful," he murmured. "Yes," Lily agreed, but her voice held something more. Tension. Perhaps even fear. "Ethan, it's getting late. I should go inside." She left him abruptly the first time her composure had seemed disturbed. Through her cabin window, Ethan glimpsed her speaking urgently into what looked like an antique radio, her silhouette occasionally shifting in strange, almost fluid ways that the lamplight must have distorted. That night, Ethan dreamed of violet skies and a woman with stars in her eyes, reaching for him across an impossible distance. He awoke with the unshakable feeling that Pinecrest held secrets, and that Lily Chen was at the center of them all. 3 weeks into his stay, Ethan realized 2 troubling things. His obsession with work had been replaced by an obsession with Lily Chen's mysteries, and he hadn't checked his company emails in 3 days without even noticing the lapse. The meteor sighting had changed something in the village's atmosphere. Residents exchanged meaningful glances. Conversations stopped when he approached. Twice he caught Lily speaking in a language he couldn't identify, melodic and complex, with sounds no human throat should produce. On a crisp morning, Ethan hiked toward the mountain where the meteor had disappeared. The trail was overgrown, clearly discouraged, but his corporate-trained determination pushed him forward. After an hour, he encountered a rusted sign. "Restricted area. Government property. No trespassing." "Curiouser and curiouser," he muttered, stepping around it. The path grew steeper. As he rounded a bend, Ethan froze. A crater scarred the mountainside, fresh and unmistakable. At its center lay a metallic object unlike any spacecraft he'd seen. organic curves instead of mechanical angles pulsing with faint bioluminescence. As he approached, a twig snapped behind him. Ethan spun around to find Lily standing there, her expression unreadable. "You shouldn't be here," she said quietly. "What is that thing?" Ethan demanded. "And don't tell me it's a weather balloon." Lily's composure cracked slightly. "Please, Ethan, it's dangerous. We need to leave." "Not until you explain." A mechanical whine interrupted him as part of the object began to unfold. Lily moved with startling speed, pushing Ethan behind a boulder just as a pulse of energy shot from the craft, vaporizing a small tree. "Automated defense system," she whispered. "It recognizes me but perceives you as a threat." "Recognizes you?" Ethan repeated, his mind racing to process the implications. Lily met his gaze, decision crystallizing in her eyes. "Yes, because it's from my home." "Your home? You mean, not originally from your Earth?" The admission seemed to physically change her. Her posture shifted subtly, becoming more fluid, less constrained by human movement patterns. "This craft is a beacon. Others like me might come searching." "Others like you," Ethan echoed faintly. Lily closed her eyes, concentrating. Her skin shimmered, the pigmentation shifting beneath the surface until patches of delicate purple appeared, her natural coloration breaking through the human camouflage. "I am a refugee," she explained, her voice taking on a slight harmonic quality. "My world, Lysithea, was destroyed 15 Earth years ago. I escaped with a handful of others, scattered across your planet to avoid detection." "Detection by whom?" "Those who destroyed our home," she said grimly. "A corporate consortium that stripped our planet of resources until its core destabilized. They hide their operations from Earth governments, exploiting developing worlds across this galaxy." Ethan felt dizzy with implications. "Why Pinecrest, remote, close to the mountain's magnetic anomalies that help mask my bioelectrical signature, and..." Her expression softened. "There are good people here who needed help. Your species has much potential, despite your destructive tendencies." The craft emitted another pulse, narrowly missing them. Lily made a series of gestures and the machine powered down, its lights dimming. "We should go before it reactivates," she urged. "The signal has already been sent. Nothing can stop that now." They descended in silence, Ethan's mind whirling with questions. Near the village, Lily stopped abruptly. "Now you understand why I must leave," she said. "My presence puts Pinecrest in danger." Ethan caught her arm. "Wait, that consortium you mentioned, what was their name?" Lily hesitated. "They operate under many names. Their Earth division is called Nexus Minerals." The blood drained from Ethan's face. "Nexus is Quantum Tech's primary resource supplier. My company's entire manufacturing chain depends on their rare Earth minerals." Lily's eyes widened with understanding. "Then your technology may be built on the same exploitation that destroyed your world," Ethan finished, the horrific realization settling like lead in his stomach. That evening, in Lily's cabin, she revealed more of her true self. The purple coloration spread across her skin in beautiful patterns when she relaxed her concentration. Her movements became more graceful, less bound by human limitations. "On Lysithea, we communed with our environment," she explained. "Our technology evolved symbiotically with nature, not against it. We could have taught your people so much." "You still can," Ethan said softly. Lily shook her head. "The beacon will draw attention. I've stayed too long already." "Then I'll help you," Ethan decided, surprising himself with his conviction. "My company has resources, connections, the same company profiting from destruction?" Lily challenged. "A company I can change," Ethan insisted, taking her hands. They felt warmer than human hands, with a subtle texture difference he found utterly fascinating. "Let me help you." Their gazes held, an unspoken connection forming between them. Two beings from different worlds finding unexpected common ground. When Lily finally nodded, Ethan felt something shift inside him, as though the universe had realigned around this moment. "There's something else you should know," Lily said softly. "The special children I work with, they're like me, partially at least, hybrids from previous refugee generations. I protect them, teach them to balance both aspects of their heritage." Ethan's perspective expanded once again, seeing the village and Lily in an entirely new light. As night fell, they sat together on her porch, the stars overhead no longer distant points of light but potential homes, filled with wonders and horrors beyond human imagination. And somewhere among them, Ethan realized he'd found something he never expected. A cause greater than success, a connection deeper than ambition, and a woman who had crossed galaxies only to land beside him. The following weeks unfolded in a delicate dance of revelation and intimacy. Ethan spent his days divided, helping Lily strengthen the protective measures around the village while remotely investigating Nexus Minerals' operations through carefully encrypted communications with trusted team members. As his sabbatical's halfway point approached, Ethan found himself transformed. The driven CEO remained, but his definition of success had fundamentally shifted. Lily had shown him her world through memories shared in a form of telepathic connection unique to her species. The crystal spires of Lysithea's cities, the harmonious technology that sang with the planet's natural rhythms, the devastating corporate mining operations that hollowed out their world until it collapsed. One evening, as they sat by the lake's edge, Ethan took Lily's hand. Her skin had settled into a compromise, mostly human in appearance but with delicate purple undertones that emerged in the moonlight. "I want you to know who I was before Pinecrest," Ethan said quietly. "The man who valued market share above all else, who measured his worth in quarterly reports, who burned through relationships like resources." Lily listened, her extraordinary eyes reflecting the stars. "That man would have seen your people as an opportunity," he continued, shame coloring his voice. "Alien technology to patent, biological advantages to study and exploit." "And now?" Lily asked softly. Ethan looked at her, this woman who had crossed light years and transformed herself to find sanctuary. "Now I understand there are connections more valuable than contracts, communities more powerful than corporations." He hesitated before adding, "feelings more precious than fortune." Lily's fingers intertwined with his, her touch sending a pleasant warmth through his system. "Your capacity for change gives me hope for your species." Their first kiss happened naturally, a meeting of worlds. Her lips carried a subtle sweetness like wild berries with an exotic undertone. Ethan felt a tingling energy pass between them, as though their very molecules recognized each other across the vast improbability of their meeting. When they separated, Lily's eyes shimmered with emotion. "This is unexpected," she whispered. "The best things usually are," Ethan replied. Their newfound closeness deepened over quiet dinners and long walks. Lily showed him how to perceive the world through her heightened senses. The electromagnetic pulses of approaching storms, the subtle chemical signatures of emotions, the whispered communication between plants. In return, Ethan taught her the beauty in human imperfection, the creativity born from limitation, the resilience that came from fragility. The special children warmed to Ethan, recognizing something kindred in him, another outsider learning to belong. He helped them understand their dual natures, drawing on his business experience to teach them how difference could become advantage. But paradise, as Ethan well knew from boardroom battles, was always temporary. The helicopter appeared without warning, its corporate logo emblazoned on the side, Quantum Tech. It landed in the village square, scattering chickens and drawing concerned villagers. From it emerged a familiar figure, Victor Zhao, Ethan's business partner and Quantum Tech's chief strategy officer. "Ethan," Victor called, his designer suit incongruous against Pinecrest's rustic backdrop. "Thank God you're alive." When you stopped responding, we feared the worst. The two men embraced awkwardly. Once inseparable friends, they now seemed from different worlds. "What are you doing here, Victor?" Ethan asked, tension evident beneath his casual tone. "Saving you from career suicide," Victor replied, lowering his voice. "The board's getting nervous. Nexus has approached us about a major partnership, exclusive mineral rights in exchange for our quantum processing technology. It's the deal of a lifetime." "Nexus," Ethan repeated, his stomach clenching. "They're surveying new deposits," Victor continued excitedly, "including," he gestured toward the mountains, "right here. Preliminary scans show unique mineral formations under this region. We're talking billions." Lily approached, her human appearance firmly in place but her eyes betraying concern. "Victor, this is Lily Chen, the local teacher," Ethan said carefully. Victor barely glanced at her. "Charming. Ethan, we need to talk privately." In Ethan's cabin, Victor revealed the full plan. Quantum Tech would provide the processing power for Nexus's new extraction technology. The entire region would be purchased, the village relocated. Construction would begin within months. These people's lives will be destroyed, Ethan protested. They'll be compensated, Victor dismissed. Progress has costs. Some costs are too high, Victor studied him with narrowed eyes. What's happened to you out here? The Ethan I know wouldn't blink at displacing a few farmers for the greater good of technological advancement. Maybe I've learned what greater good actually means, Ethan replied. Later, when Victor returned to his helicopter to make calls, Lily and Ethan met in the schoolhouse with George and other village elders. Nexus will find the beacon, Lily explained grimly, and when they do, they'll discover traces of Lysithian minerals in the soil, the same ones they exhausted on my world. Can we destroy the beacon? George suggested. It would trigger a defensive reaction, Lily said, and the signal has already been sent. Ethan paced the room. I might have a solution, but it requires me to return to San Francisco. You're leaving? Lily's voice held the first hint of vulnerability he'd heard from her. Only to fight for what matters, he assured her, taking her hands. Do you trust me? Before she could answer, a commotion erupted outside. Several villagers ran past the windows, pointing skyward. They rushed outside to see the night sky ablaze with dancing lights. Not stars or aircraft, but the atmospheric disturbance of multiple objects entering Earth's atmosphere. They're coming, Lily whispered, her human disguise flickering with her distress, patches of purple emerging on her skin. Both my people and those who hunted us. Victor stood nearby, filming the phenomenon with his phone. His eyes widened as he caught sight of Lily's transformation. What the hell? He gasped, backing away. Ethan, what is this? What is she? In that moment of crisis, with worlds literally colliding above them, Ethan made his choice. He stepped protectively in front of Lily, facing his old friend and the life he once cherished. She's the future, he said simply. The question is whether humanity is ready to embrace it. The San Francisco skyline glittered like a circuit board against the night as Ethan Reed paced the length of his penthouse office. At 35, he was the youngest CEO to take a tech startup from garage project to global powerhouse. Tomorrow's product launch would cement quantum tech as the industry leader for the next decade, if everything went perfectly. 63 hours, muttered Ethan, running his fingers through his disheveled brown hair. That's how long he'd been awake, sustained by premium coffee and sheer determination. His reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows showed the cost. Sunken eyes, pale skin, a shadow of his usually commanding presence. Mr. Reed, the marketing team needs your final approval on the presentation slides. His assistant Maya stood at the door, her expression a mixture of admiration and concern. Tell them I'll have it in 20 minutes, Ethan replied without looking up from his tablet. And bring another espresso. Maya hesitated. Sir, that would be your 7th today. Then make it a double. He dismissed her with a wave, already lost in the figures projected across his holographic display. The numbers blurred before him. Something wasn't right with the projection models. If he could just focus harder, work a little longer. The conference center buzzed with anticipation. Tech journalists from around the world filled the auditorium. Live streams connected to millions of viewers. Ethan stood backstage, reviewing his notes one last time. 5 minutes, Mr. Reed, a stage manager called. Ethan nodded, adjusting his perfectly tailored suit. Success was everything. His father's words echoed in his mind. In this world, son, you're either somebody or nobody. Well, today would prove which one Ethan Reed was. The lights dimmed. The crowd hushed. Ethan took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage to thunderous applause. Camera flashes sparked like stars across the darkness. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, his voice strong and confident. Today, quantum tech redefines what's possible. He moved through the presentation flawlessly, each slide transition perfectly timed, each product feature met with gasps of appreciation. This was his element. This was what he lived for. The future isn't coming, he announced, reaching the presentation's climax. The future is... The words dissolved in his mouth. The room tilted sideways. A strange buzzing filled his ears as the faces in the crowd stretched and distorted. Ethan grabbed the podium for support, but his fingers found only air. He collapsed on the stage, the shocked silence of the audience the last thing he registered before darkness claimed him. Ethan awoke to the steady beep of hospital monitors. Maya sat beside his bed, dark circles under her eyes. What happened? His voice came out as a rasp. You collapsed from severe exhaustion and dehydration, Maya explained. The doctors say you're experiencing acute burnout syndrome. Ethan tried to sit up. The launch was postponed, Maya finished. The board agreed to delay for 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Ethan's heart monitor spiked. That's unacceptable. Get my laptop. I can work from here. The door opened as an older man in a white coat entered. That won't be happening, Mr. Reed, said Dr. Huang firmly. What your body needs isn't 2 weeks of rest. It needs a complete reset. I don't have time for— Make time, Dr. Huang interrupted, or next time we'll be having this conversation in the morgue. He handed Ethan a folder. I'm prescribing a 3-month sabbatical. Somewhere without high-speed internet or cell reception. Ethan stared at him in disbelief. That's impossible. What's impossible is the pace you've been maintaining, Dr. Huang replied. Your body is shutting down. Continue like this and you won't live to see 40. 3 days later, against every instinct, Ethan found himself on a small commuter plane headed for the remote village of Pinecrest. Nestled in the mountains far from any major city, his executive team would handle the launch. The company would survive without him. He kept repeating this like a mantra, never quite believing it. The plane landed on a small airstrip where a weathered pickup truck waited. The driver, an elderly man with sun-weathered skin, introduced himself as George. First time in Pinecrest? He asked as they bounced along a dirt road. First and last, Ethan muttered, clutching his designer luggage. George chuckled. That's what they all say. The village appeared around a bend, a collection of rustic buildings surrounded by towering pines and a crystal-clear lake. It looked like a postcard from another century. Your cabin's the last one by the lake, George said, pulling up to a modest wooden structure. Lily Chen next door runs the schoolhouse. She'll help you get settled. Ethan stepped out, his Italian leather shoes immediately collecting dust. As George drove away, a woman emerged from the neighboring cabin. She had long black hair pulled into a simple braid and wore practical clothes that couldn't hide her graceful movements. But what struck Ethan most were her eyes, an unusual shade that caught the sunlight in a way that almost made them appear violet. You must be the city man who needs quiet, she said, her voice melodic and warm. I'm Lily. Welcome to Pinecrest. Ethan extended his hand formally. Ethan Reed, and I'm not here by choice. Lily's smile didn't falter as she took his hand. Her touch was gentle but confident. Few worthwhile journeys begin by choice, Mr. Reed. The most important ones begin by necessity. Something in her words, or perhaps her eyes, made Ethan pause. For the first time in years, he found himself without a ready response, standing speechless in the mountain sunshine as a strange, new chapter of his life reluctantly began. Ethan spent his first week in Pinecrest like a fish thrown onto shore, gasping for the familiar current of his fast-paced life. His cabin, though clean and surprisingly comfortable, lacked the technological ecosystem he depended on. The internet connection was painfully slow, barely sufficient for email. His phone showed a single bar of reception that disappeared entirely at the slightest breeze. On the 8th morning, after another restless night, Ethan ventured outside at dawn. The lake glimmered in the early light, mist rising from its surface like spirits dancing. The beauty of it struck him unexpectedly, a moment of involuntary appreciation. Morning looks different when you actually see it, doesn't it? Ethan turned to find Lily approaching along the shoreline. She carried a basket of fresh bread and wild berries. I thought you might like breakfast, she said, extending the basket. I usually just have coffee and a protein bar, Ethan replied, though he accepted the offering. And how's that working out for you? Lily's eyes, those strangely captivating violet-tinged eyes, sparkled with gentle humor. Despite himself, Ethan smiled. Point taken. They sat on Ethan's porch sharing the simple meal. The bread was still warm, and the berries burst with flavor unlike anything from his grocery delivery service. So what do people do here all day? Ethan asked, trying to mask his genuine curiosity with practiced cynicism. Live, Lily answered simply. We work, we connect, we notice things. Notice what? Everything. She gestured toward the tree line. Like how that family of deer only comes to the lake when the morning star is still visible. Or how Mr. Wilson's arthritis acts up 3 days before rain. Fascinating, Ethan said dryly. but something in him stirred with interest. Lily stood, brushing crumbs from her practical denim dress. "I'm heading to the schoolhouse. You're welcome to join if you'd like to notice some things yourself." Against his better judgment, Ethan followed. The one-room schoolhouse sat on a gentle hill overlooking the village. Inside, a dozen children of various ages arranged desks and prepared materials. "Don't you have a janitor for that?" Ethan whispered. "We take care of our own spaces," Lily replied. "It teaches responsibility." Throughout the day, Ethan observed Lily's unconventional teaching methods. She taught mathematics through gardening, literature through storytelling circles, and science through hands-on experiments. The children adored her, their faces lighting up whenever she spoke. The following days unfolded in a whirlwind of activity. The objects entering Earth's atmosphere weren't spacecraft as expected, but atmospheric probes, advanced scouts for both Lily's refugee kin and the Nexus operation. The village became the center of an invisible war, a chess game played with satellites, signals, and subterfuge. Ethan implemented his plan with characteristic precision. First, he convened a private meeting with Victor, revealing everything about Lily's origins and Nexus's interplanetary exploitation. Victor listened with increasing horror as Ethan presented evidence compiled from Quantum Tech's own data, radiation signatures in Nexus minerals matching no known Earth element, energy patterns consistent with Lily's descriptions of Lysithian technology. "Even if I believed this science fiction," Victor finally said, "what do you expect us to do? Quantum Tech would collapse without Nexus resources." "Not if we find alternatives," Ethan countered. "Ethical alternatives." Against all odds, Victor agreed to help, not out of altruism but self-preservation. "If what you're saying is true, we're building our future on a foundation that's already collapsed one civilization. That's bad business." With Victor's reluctant cooperation, Ethan chartered a corporate jet and returned to San Francisco, leaving Lily to prepare the village defenses. Their parting was bittersweet, fingers intertwined until the last possible moment. "I'll return," Ethan promised. "Wait for me." Lily's violet eyes held his. "My people have a saying, distance is an illusion of physical perception. Our hearts remain connected." In San Francisco, Ethan transformed from rural convert back into corporate warrior. He called in every favor, leveraged every contact, and played the corporate game with newfound purpose. In a marathon board meeting, he presented a revolutionary pivot for Quantum Tech, abandoning Nexus minerals to develop sustainable technologies based on theoretical models, inspired by Lysithian principles. "The mineral dependencies of our current tech are unsustainable," he argued. "First-mover advantage and truly sustainable quantum computing will secure our dominance for decades." The board resisted initially, but Ethan's passion was contagious. When he revealed that Nexus was under federal investigation for environmental violations, an investigation he had quietly initiated, the decision became easier. Quantum Tech would chart a new course, with Ethan dividing his time between corporate headquarters and a new rural innovation lab in Pinecrest. Simultaneously, Ethan established a private foundation, transferring a significant portion of his personal fortune to purchase the entire mountain region around Pinecrest, placing it under a conservation trust that prohibited development. The village itself would become a special research community, ostensibly focused on sustainable technology. When Ethan returned to Pinecrest 2 weeks later, he found the village transformed. Several new residents had arrived, refugees like Lily, drawn by the beacon but protected by her warning systems from Nexus detection. They maintained human appearances in public, but in the privacy of secured buildings they shared their knowledge and culture with trusted villagers. Lily awaited him at the lake's edge, her expression unreadable. When he explained what he had accomplished, her composure finally broke. For the first time, Ethan witnessed an Lysithian expression of joy, her skin illuminating with bioluminescent patterns, a soft harmonic hum emanating from her chest. "You've created a sanctuary," she marveled. "Not just for me, but for all of us." "It's just the beginning," Ethan said. "Quantum Tech's resources will fund research into technology that honors your world's principles. Your people will guide us toward a better path." That evening, the villagers and refugee aliens gathered for a celebration unlike any before, a fusion of Earth traditions and Lysithian customs. Under the stars, Ethan and Lily danced, their movements bridging human and alien expressions of joy. Later, in the privacy of Lily's cabin, they shared a deeper intimacy. Lily revealed her true form completely. Her skin entirely purple with luminescent patterns that responded to emotion, her movements fluid beyond human limitation. Ethan found her utterly beautiful, every alien aspect precious because it was hers. Their love transcended physical differences. Where their bodies diverged in form, their souls found perfect harmony. Lily's telepathic abilities allowed Ethan to experience her emotions directly, a communion beyond words, deeper than any human connection. On my world, Lily whispered afterward, we have a bonding ritual for life partners. It creates a permanent connection, allowing us to sense each other across any distance. Like quantum entanglement, Ethan murmured, tracing the luminescent patterns on her shoulder. She smiled. Exactly like that. Two particles forever responsive to each other regardless of the space between them. I want that, Ethan said without hesitation. I want everything with you. The bonding ceremony took place at dawn, attended by both human villagers and Lysithian refugees. Under the mountain sky, with hands joined and minds open, they became something new. Neither fully human nor alien, but a bridge between worlds. In the years that followed, their sanctuary grew. Quantum tech revolutionized sustainable technology, creating systems that enhanced rather than exploited natural resources. Ethan divided his time between corporate leadership and community building, never again losing sight of what truly mattered. The hybrid children thrived under Lily's guidance, embodying the best of both worlds. More refugees arrived, finding safety and purpose. Pinecrest became a quiet nexus of interstellar cooperation, unknown to the wider world but profoundly influencing Earth's technological evolution. Nexus Minerals' exploitative practices were gradually exposed and dismantled, though the larger cosmic consortium remained a distant threat, one that Ethan and Lily prepared for together. On cool mountain evenings, they would sit on their porch, the successful man who had learned compassion and the alien woman who had found home across the stars. Together, they watched both the village and the galaxies above, their hands intertwined, their hearts beating in a rhythm that transcended worlds. Ethan, once driven solely by market metrics and stockholder approval, had discovered the immeasurable wealth of connection, and Lily, who had traveled light years seeking refuge, had found not just sanctuary but partnership in the most unexpected place, with a man who had learned that the true meaning of life lay not in success, but in service to something greater than himself. When visitors asked how a tech mogul had ended up in a remote village, married to an unassuming teacher with extraordinary violet eyes, Ethan would simply smile and say, I came looking for rest, but found my purpose instead. And when the night sky was clear, showing stars that Lily could name from memory, they would hold each other close, two beings from different worlds who had created something beautiful between them, a love that, like the best innovations, had transformed everything it touched.